I'm going to do a different kind of ice cream today, but I really want to talk a little bit about how fun it is to make homemade ice cream in the summer. That was my dad's thing. Whenever we were having a party, whether in the summer, 4th of July, or there's a lot of summer birthdays in my family. My mom's birthday, my son Riley's birthday's in the summer. So what was for dessert? Well, of course, it was my dad's homemade vanilla ice cream. He was known for it, legendary, and just a simple recipe. So, why not get an ice cream maker and have that be your thing? It's so fun. The kids don't even know how to make homemade ice cream these days. Ice cream, they think of, going out for it or picking up a half gallon at the grocery store. So teach them to make it on their own. And you can pick up old ice cream makers at rummage sales and garage sales, or even new, and they're not that expensive. They're all different sorts of ones. So anyway, here's a fun recipe for you. It's one of my favorite kinds of ice cream besides vanilla. If I'm going out for ice cream, this is usually the kind I'll order. It's mint chocolate chip and super easy to make. So sip of coffee, I'm going to get to work, although this really isn't that much work. And I think too, at the end of a nice, even a fancy dinner party, to bring out a super casual dessert just really sets the mood. People roll up their sleeves, and who doesn't like ice cream? So mint chocolate chip ice cream, super simple. We're going to start out with 2 cups of either 2%, or if you'd like it a little bit richer, whole milk, 2 cups of heavy cream, and I'm just doing this in a big bowl. We don't have to cook anything. I mean, this is just couldn't be easier. 3/4 of a cup of regular old sugar. Start mixing that together, and that's the one thing you want to do, is you need to mix it really well. Get that sugar dissolved in there. I do have a funny story. One time my dad made the ice cream and we were all excited about it, and my sister was the first one to dig in, and he's like, "How is it? How is it?" She's like, "Ooh, Dad, something's missing." He was so proud of himself. He was so excited, he memorized the recipe. Well, he forgot to put the sugar in. Wasn't quite as good. We had to throw that batch out and start over. So don't forget the sugar. So again, 2 cups of milk, 2 cups of heavy cream, 3/4 of a cup of sugar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And nowadays you can get that nice fancy, vanilla paste and things like that, but we didn't have that way back when. So my dad just used regular old vanilla extract in his ice cream. Now, here's where we're going to take a little bit of a different turn. Mint chocolate chip, I'm using 1 teaspoon, and this is really strong stuff. Just pick it up in the area where you find vanilla at the grocery store. It's peppermint extract, and a little goes a long way. So 1 teaspoon should do you here. Just a pinch of salt. Same idea as when you're adding a little bit of salt to your chocolate chip cookie dough. And now it's up to you if you want to keep this natural like this, or add a little bit of green food coloring. We're going to add a little bit of green, just a drop or 2. We really want that pale. So whenever you're working with food coloring, it's kind of like 1 drop at a time. And 1 more, let's do. Whoops. So about 3 to 4 drops. You're wanting that minty look. Perfect. Okay, so at this point, it goes into your ice cream maker, whatever kind you have. As I said, there are so many different kinds of ice cream makers these days. I've even heard of ones where the ice cream maker it's basically a soccer ball, a ball you can kick around, and somehow so the kid's going to be throwing it around, and somehow it's got ice around it. Somebody told me about that one. I got to check that one out myself. But I've seen them, inexpensive ones out and about for $25, $30 or so. And you're going to, let me tell you, we've had this one for about 50 years or more, so you'll get your monies out of it. But one of the important ingredients in most ice cream makers, not all, some of the new ones you don't need it, but we always called it rock salt. Make sure you have that on hand if your ice cream maker calls for it. Nowadays they call it ice cream salt, I guess. So what we did for this particular ice cream maker, what you do is you layer ice and the salt, and the 2 of them together really, get the ice cream going, get it freezing. This took about a half hour, 45 minutes, so it's pretty quick. So you know, if you're doing this for a party, you could have this part of it all done and in the refrigerator covered, and then, you know, throw it into your ice cream maker the last 40 minutes before you're ready to serve. Now, the one thing is I think, I don't know if you agree with me, but I think you will. I think it's so important to serve the ice cream right away, right when it's done, right when it's, you know, rather than refreezing it. I think it just doesn't, it's not the same, you know. It's one of those things where my dad always had this on the deck going, and we'd be, you know, grilling out burgers or sloppy joes, serving sloppy joes, and then it was just the anticipation. So I think that's the best way to go at it is just serve it right when it's done. So this old dinosaur doesn't have a turn-off switch. You just unplug it. And I know it's not pretty, but let me tell you, it cranks out some great ice cream. And we cleaned it up as best we could, but this is just the way it is. All right. And by the way, you put the chocolate chips in for the mint chocolate chip ice cream about 10 to 15 minutes after this gets going. You don't want to put it in right at the beginning. I'm not sure why, but just because. I used about a cup of mini chocolate chips. Chocolate chunks would work great too, or you don't even need to add the chocolate chips. But Diane, looks really good. Turned out perfect. Magic happens in here. Look at that. Okay, I gotta have a little bite. And this has been going at it for about 45 minutes. Don't tell anybody. I just can't resist. Perfect. So good. Deb's on vacation, and let me tell you, Deb, you are wishing you were here. Dan, want a little bite? It's so good. Here, you want to just... Now I'm going to scoop it up and do something fancy. And my dad's ice cream recipe was just about that simple. I think sometimes you can get carried away with the whole thing. Tell me what you think, Diane. So good. There's nothing like homemade ice cream, I know. Now, you know, the thing with homemade ice cream is sometimes it's not super scoopable. So, but although we're scooping here, it's a little bit softer, but it's so good. And there's lots of different flavors you can do. I thought it would be fun, being that this is mint chocolate chip, that we could drizzle with a little bit of chocolate syrup. That's up to you. When my dad did it, it was just plain old vanilla ice cream, maybe some fresh strawberries or peaches on the side. But you know, these days it's always got to be over the top. Back then it was just so simple. A little bit of whipped cream maybe, a few chocolate chips, and there you go. It's homemade mint chocolate chip ice cream. How fun is that? Make homemade ice cream this summer. It's not all that hard to do, and everyone will remember it.